Hello, welcome back to Survival Saturday with Johnny Tiger. On April 10, 2021, today I aim to wrap up this response video series talking about uh, Israeli Krav Maga and the, the, the various points raised by the original video, which is called Is Krav Maga as Useless as Aikido, which you can find in the video description section. Also, there is an um, example of our demonstration, Krav Maga demonstration, in the description that you can check out there. Quick recap as usual. I'm not going to stand here and address is Aikido useless or not, because I personally have very, very little knowledge or experience with Aikido. So I don't feel qualified to talk about that. However, I will talk about Krav Maga because being an instructor myself, I do find the original video just a tad offensive uh, and biased and all that stuff. Okay? It has some really valid points, very valid questions, but the research seemed very incomplete and the method of the research just seemed rather off-kiltered. However, I will not stand here and try to represent all the Krav Maga organizations or systems or styles in the world. I was trained in Commando Krav Maga and then being with Krav Maga Force and now with uh, Tactical Personal Protection Program here in Vancouver, Richmond, British Columbia area. So those are the training I can talk about and, uh, and have experienced. Now, the last point I'm going to address from the original video is the concern that most Krav Maga drills and technique demonstrations and technique practices are not being done with fully resisting opponents. This one is pretty big, so before we start going into that, I want to first show you uh, what is a little progression that people don't get to see in Krav Maga training. And then I'm going to tell you a few personal stories to illustrate exactly why we do not encourage full on resisting, full on uh, uh, contact, full powered battle, Krav Maga drills and demonstration. First, the little progression. When you first start in Krav Maga, you start to learn quickly that this program will teach you how to handle, how to deal with people attacking you or trying to rob you at knife point or at gunpoint. Now let me quickly say this. If someone come up to you with a knife or a gun, demand for your wallet, your phone, your car key, just give it to them. Okay? Don't try to be a hero. Don't try to say, I know Krav Maga. I know what to do here. Okay? Any technique has a chance of failing. Even special forces soldier, when they try to disarm someone that's coming at them with a knife, there's a big chance of getting cut. Right? So just because you know Krav Maga or MMA or whatever kind of martial art you have or whatever belt you have, don't try to be a hero. Wallet, car key, all those things, cell phone can be replaced. Even if they take your house, even if they take your car, all those things can be sorted out with insurance. There's only one you, okay? It's not worth dying over, even if someone just armed with a knife, right? So, back to progression. When we start with knife, we start with something like this. It's a soft knife. It's soft rubber, okay? You can't really even stab someone hard with it, okay? Because it's bent. You can't even cut with it because it's going to warp, right? Now, yes, we start with this because when you mess up with your technique or when you are training with a newbie, a new partner who doesn't know when to quit, and they start going crazy with a knife, you don't poke each other's eye out. We actually had it happen before in our program where two people were sparring with just plastic knife, but they were hard, rigid knife. And one person had his freaking eyeball pried out of his socket. Even when they were wearing protective goggles, the knife went in at a really weird angle from beneath the goggle, from the upward stab, and the eyeball came out. Okay? So this is why we use soft rubber knife in the very beginning stage. Even with these soft rubber knife, you can add a little bit of a sort of a realism or punishment to your partner. I personally actually still like to drill with these soft rubber knife because with these rubber knife, even though you can slash or stab really hard, if you have good knife technique, all you have to do is add a little flick of the wrist at the end of your attack and out. You can slap the heck out of your opponent or your partner. This thing really hurts when you slap with this. This really hurts. Okay? It's like being hit with a belt. Okay? So that is stage one of knife practice. Soft, flexible rubber knife. Stage two, we graduate to hard, rigid plastic knife. This one is not going to slap quite as good because it doesn't have that flex to it. But this now you can actually slash and cut, and when you hit with it, when you cut at the wrist, it hurts because this is quite hard. And then when you stab the body, it actually hurts a lot, especially if you do it with a lot of force. It's going to leave a lot of bruises. But it's still relatively safe. If you mess up, it's still relatively safe. Stage three, final stage. I say final stage. Actually, that's a stage four when you use the shock knife, the zap knife. But I don't have one here to show you guys. So I'll show you up to stage three. Stage three. Personally, I always train. Nowadays, I always use this. Look and feel just like a real knife. It's metal. It's made to simulate the real Emerson knife, right? The only difference is it's not sharp. It doesn't have a cutting edge. But otherwise, it feels exactly like the real thing, and it's work like the real thing. Now, what is different between this and the hard plasticky knife is if I'm sparring with someone or if I'm drilling with someone using the plastic knife, sometimes we'll see really wacky techniques, like people will clamp their hand onto the blade of the knife and then bend it left and right and bend it all out of shape. And because the knife has some give to it, it allows them to do that. And it's very hard for me to extract the knife from their grip. Technically, the moment they grab onto the blade of the knife, that's a fail right away. You're not supposed to do that and lose your finger. With a metal knife, on the other hand, if they grab onto the metal blade of my knife, all I have to do is wrench it out, and they get injured finger. Okay, if I do that hard enough, it's going to peel the skin off of their finger, even though it's not sharp. As you can, I don't know if you guys can see on camera. There's a notch at the back here. There's the side angle here. That still will scrape your hand. It's still going to skin your hand. And this rough part at the top, that's going to tear open your flesh if I extract my knife hard enough. Right? If I go at someone's neck hard enough with this knife, it's going to break skin. If I hit someone over the knuckle with a knife, it hurts so much because this is metal. There's no give to it. Yeah? If I stab into the body, it's not going to penetrate, but it leaves some nasty, nasty bruises with this. Not to mention, because it's metal, I can backhand with the hilt, the backhand of the hilt of the knife. I can do all kinds of things. But at the same time, as I already said, the chance of injury drastically amp up as the progression goes up. Now let's look at guns. In the beginning, when an opponent approaches you with a training pistol, it's something like this. This is, again, rubber. As you can see, it flexes in my hand. Right? This means if your partner pistol whip you, it hurts, but it's not going to hurt quite as much. If you take the gun away and you drive it back into the partner, like a lot of time our technique is when we take the gun, we immediately smash the gun into a person's face or throat or chest. With a rubber gun, not bad. It hurts like crazy, but not going to kill you. Okay. Next progression, once people learn control, learn to be careful, we graduate to this. Now this is all metal, right? This is all metal. It's still not quite like a real gun, but it's heavy like a real gun. It even has a working trigger like a real gun, like that. Now with this, now you have a little bit more thing you have to worry about, because now when you try to do that weird Steven Seagal move by chopping the side of the gun with your karate chop to make it fly out of the person's hand, good luck. Because now you go and chop this, you are probably going to hurt your hand really, really badly because it's all metal, right? Now, if I take this gun and jam it back against the person's neck or body, it hurts even more. The barrel, the top of the barrel, the side here, actually will cut skin, right? Now it's a completely different experience. The last part of the progression for guns is like this. I haven't loaded this, but it is a pellet pistol. We'll use airsoft, BB gun, or pellet gun for the final stage of gun defense. We'll load it up, put green gas in this, so if you mess up your gun technique and the person shoots you, it will actually hurt a lot, like a lot. But we very rarely resort to this training tool. Why? Because it causes property damage. Okay, we have mirrors in the studio. We have drywall and light fixtures and stuff like that in the studio. You get a pellet gun in there and boom. Okay, you didn't hit the guy, but now you need a new mirror for the studio. Now, why don't we train with our partner, giving our full resistance? There's quite a few reasons, but first, it's because with full resistance, it requires full energy attack. And when you have person A attacking you, resisting your technique with 100% intensity, and you, person B, applying that technique with 100% intensity, what will happen is you will start to end up with a lot of casualties. You'll start to end up with a lot of injuries. And when people start to get injured left, right, and center, two things are going to happen. One, they're going to quit the program. Two, they're going to sue the school. Sometimes both things happen all together. And it's not a good business model. And don't get me wrong, we like teaching self-defense. We love what we do, but it's still a business. We need students to keep things going. In the early days of me joining Commando Krav Maga, we had people get hurt all the time. And I myself suffered a lot of injuries. I have hurt a lot of people. I'm going to tell you guys a couple of incidences when uh, this when things went wrong. Hopefully, this will show you why we do not want people to start attacking and resisting with full power or full intensity. The first time that I heard someone really, really bad was during a Krav Maga sparring session. Yeah. Uh, I was up against a guy who probably weighed like 20 pounds more than me and was a little bit taller, not quite as experienced, but strong as an ox. So halfway, like partway through the match, he managed to get me in the guillotine choke. So what happened was he kicked me in the groin, and when I leaned forward, kind of a natural reaction when someone kicks you in the groin, you will drop forward a little bit. He caught my head and looped his arm around my neck and start choking. Okay. Now I remember mentioning this in the past episode that in our Krav Maga program there's no tap out because we want it to be realistic. So you either find your own way out of it, or you have to wait for the coach to come and break up the match. Otherwise, there's no tapping. You can tap all you want. The other person's still going to choke you out. So I was bent over. This guy, big guy, driving down on my neck with his weight and choking the living daylight out of me. And I couldn't tap. I couldn't tap out. I was swinging my arm into his groin. And because of we were wearing groin cup, so me swinging my arm into his groin wasn't doing the trick. I didn't have enough leverage. I was quickly running out of air. So I resorted to uh, what I would what I would do in a wrestling or judo or MMA maneuver. I went forward, grabbed him. I grabbed him around the leg and put his weight over my shoulder. I stood up and thumped him over my head. He landed head and shoulder first, and it shattered his entire shoulder blade on the left in 2 or 3 spots. He has to be out of action for a whole year because he landed so heavily because of the way I threw him. I felt so bad after that because I not only cost us a student, but I just ensured that this guy was going to be on disability for a while because he couldn't use his arm for work. Not to mention that caused excruciating pain to another person. So if he wasn't applying the choke so hard, if we didn't have such a rigid rule that tried to make it as realistic as possible, if the moment I hit him in the groin, despite of him having growing cup, he let go and just like how a real person should, then this wouldn't have happened. Right? Another another incident similar during my first combat exam for Krav Maga to earn my first rank. I had to go up against 5 people and I had to stay on my feet for 7 minutes. If they took me down or if I tap out or anything like that, if they got a kill shot in, let me quickly explain what I keep talking about kill shot in Krav Maga drills and sparring. Okay? When someone come at you in Krav Maga with a knife, if they get you on the arm, on the hand, on the leg, that's okay. You can continue to struggle. It just counts as points against you, right? The moment they get you on the neck like this, the moment they get you on the chest, the moment they get you in the belly, match is over. You're lost. Because that will count as a kill in real life. So for my first combat exam, I had one of the other instructor at the time was one of the people that was going to be attacking me, and he rushed me, and he was very strong, very fit, a very professional fighter. He came at me and he started trying to wrestle me down to the ground, and I did the knee to the groin, At first, I did the knee to the groin, like 30%, 20% intensity, but he didn't feel it or he was being a little bit too overly enthusiastic. He didn't register, he didn't respect the move. So in desperation, I brought my knee up a second time, full force, boom, into the groin, lifted him off the floor, broke his groin cup, and he ended up in the hospital. Eh, Again, I felt bad for doing that because honestly, what made me feel really bad was at the time I wasn't sure how bad I was going to hurt him, and it ended up gave him a lot of pain for over a week in his groin area, and yeah, it did some nasty damage to his testicles. But again, if he wasn't going full force, if he respected me kicking him in the groin the first time, then that wouldn't have happened. A third, a third incident happened when one time we were doing knife attack drills, and one of the guys armed with a knife came at me with a knife, and he was going crazy with a knife. Excuse me a second. Look, it's just dry throat, not no COVID around here. Knock on wood. So the guy came at me with a knife, and he was going really hard. He just like just kept stabbing, and he was not even confining it to the body. He was going at my face, my throat, with the hard plastic knife. So finally, after getting it on the arm a few times, I was able to latch onto his wrist, and I tripped him to the ground, and I twisted his arm. Now this would be the point where people say our partner is not using a lot of resistance. Because this is the point when we teach our students, when you get your arm twisted like that, drop the knife. Okay? He didn't. He didn't drop the knife because he, like many people, think, oh well, I can still hold on to it. Just because you got my wrist, just because you twist my arm, doesn't mean I'll have to give out the knife. It doesn't hurt. Now, he didn't want to give up the knife. I didn't want him to have the knife because the last few times he stabbed me hurt a lot. So when he didn't let go, I twisted his arm another quarter of an inch and then kicked him on the armpit, in the armpit with my leg. So it's like a twist and a stump in the armpit, and that dislocated his arm. Right? So those are just some of there's so many more incidences, accidents, injuries like that happen in a serious Krav Maga environment that we really, in the end, we have to sit down. Those of us who are instructors, we have to sit down and say, look, we can't keep this up because we're losing a lot of students. We're going to get sued eventually, and it's just not cool to see people hurt all the time. So now we have very strict set of rule that if I do the technique properly and you feel that you don't want me to do it harder, then let go of the knife or let go of the gun or do what's expected of you. Now it's up to you. We always tell the student it's up to you, but just understand if you resist me 100%, then I have to apply the force 100%. What happened after that will be your own responsibility. Another reason, reason number two, why we don't encourage full-on resistance is because it's not fair. Why do I say it's not fair? because the person coming at you is not using a real weapon. Okay, if you want to resist, if you want to do it 100%, then the person should be using a real weapon. Then when I go and try to disarm them, I should really drive my thumb into their eyes. I should really pull off their testicles. I should really chop them in the throat and kill them, right? That would be 100%. That would be reality. But you can't train that way because there's a difference. There's still, no matter how you slice it, there's a difference between practice and real, I want to kill your butt kind of situation. For those of you that think, well, yeah, but if you train a certain way, then you'll never know. If you never meet full resistance, then you'll never know. Then, if we use that logic, then people who practice swordsmanship shouldn't even wear armor because it's not realistic. You don't wear armor on the street, so what's the point? You should take off your armor and just go at each other with the sword. People who train with knives shouldn't wear protection. People who train with sticks shouldn't wear protection. Right? Soldiers, military, when they're drilling, they should use real ammunition, real bombs, real everything. And when they get into close quarter combat, they should really bash each other's head in with rocks. You can't go full on realism without having full on real complications and consequences. And you can only get so real before things get out of hand. And unfortunately, Krav Maga is not like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Right? Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, there's a very big distance between me armbarring you and causing a lot of pain and me outright breaking your arm. Okay? There's a large distance for most of the time. I mean, accidents happen too, but most of the time, most of the time, from the moment you feel the pain to the moment your arm breaks, there's quite a large gap. You have a chance to tap out or not from that point, right? Now, Krav Maga, let's take the very basic thumb into the eye thing, right? If I touch you, if I touch you on the eyeball with my thumb, and you don't react, you keep coming at me with that training knife. My next course of option, my only other option, is to shove in hard enough for you to register that pain. Okay? That is going to be your second warning. You keep coming back, then I have no choice then but to actually shove my thumb into your eye socket. It's not as uh, how should we say? It's not quite as um, uh, uh, avoidable. Permanent damage is not quite as avoidable as in boxing or jiu-jitsu or judo and stuff like that. At judo, if someone tries to throw you and you resist them, you can resist all you want. They find out the way to throw you because the goal is to throw you. Right? In Krav Maga, you come at me with a knife, my goal is to get that knife out of your hand, no matter what. So if you resist me 100%, then I'm forced to do something that's going to cause a lot of damage for you to let go of that knife. Because in my head, I'm treating that knife in your hand as the real thing. I respect that knife as the real thing. The moment it touches my neck, I'm done. The match is over. Right? The moment it stabs me in the chest, I'm done. The match is over. We treat it like the real thing. So for me to take it out of your hand, you have to respect my techniques like they are the real thing. If you don't respect my techniques, then I have to go into full power mode and you get really, really hurt. And I feel bad. Everyone feel bad. You will feel even worse. That pretty much round up our response videos. This will be the last of talking about Krav Maga basic training and stuff like that in regard to the video. Now, if you guys have anything you want me to address, put it in the comment section, and I can address it in the upcoming Tactical Tuesday video. Okay? For now, have a good night, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow on Soul Search Sunday. Bang, bang.